If you restore or collect cast iron, then you know what this is, and if you don't, it is a Santa cake mold made by Griswold. The other day, I got extremely lucky. I found a big lot of Griswold pieces from someone off Facebook Marketplace, over 60 pieces. I paid $1,000, and when I'm done restoring them all and selling them individually, I estimate I'll make around $10,000. And I posted a video about it on my YouTube Shorts, so make sure you check that out. Now, this Santa cake mold was not from that lot, but it was from the same guy. He hit me up 2 days later telling me he had more cast iron. The Santa mold was in it. I haven't found one yet, so I had to have it. So Griswold made all sorts of baking and cake molds, but there were 3 based on figures. First, we have the lamb mold. These are really popular to use even today around Easter time. And the lamb mold was made between the 1930s and 1960s. And of these 3 molds, this is the easiest one to find. And then we have the rabbit mold. This one was made in the 1940s and 50s and is definitely harder to find than the lamb mold. And then we have the topic of discussion, the Santa mold. It says Hello Kitties at the bottom, which today is a bit creepy, but it's still a really cool piece. And of the 3, this is certainly the hardest one to find, and this was also made in the 1940s and 50s. Here's a look of the inside. There's the pattern number on the tab. And on the inside of the top, on the tabs, we have the pattern number and Griswold Manufacturing Company, Erie, Pennsylvania. Now, there are a lot of reproductions made of the rabbit and Santa molds, but there are some easy ways to find the fakes, and one in particular is quite interesting. One easy one is the tongue sticks out on the real version, where it doesn't on the reproduction. And the lettering on the tab that says Griswold Manufacturing Company, Erie, PA is another giveaway, but the one I really want to talk about is this one right here. This line that looks like a crack is actually not a crack. It's often referred to as a casting flaw, but it's not actually a casting flaw either. And every real version has this flaw. Now, it's not uncommon to find a vintage or antique skillet that has a sand shift, and people, even collectors, will call this a casting flaw. But sand shifts are not from the casting process, they are a mold defect. The sand in the mold shifted before the casting process. Now, if you didn't guess by now, cast iron pieces are cast from sand molds. But molds just don't exist, you have to make them from patterns. So think of a pattern as a mold for the mold, and the pattern would look just like the thing you were trying to make. In this case, the pattern would look just like the Santa, but it wouldn't be made out of cast iron. I believe back then Griswold had brass patterns. Now, at this point, you might be asking yourself, what the hell is the point of all of this? So we know the flaw on the Santa mold is not a casting flaw, and every piece is cast from a new mold, and it is incredibly unlikely that every single mold had a defect in the same exact spot. This tells us there was actually a flaw in the pattern, and the same pattern gets used over and over and over again, which makes this make sense.